Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. This is an answering questions episode. I got some pretty good questions for this one. I got at least possibly 4 questions, so basically that's pretty good. So let's actually get right to it, shall we? This question is actually from a comment in one of my YouTube videos. I'm probably not going to say the name, but even though the question actually goes like this. Why were the animals during the Cambrian so weird and alien-like? Do we have any animals that look like that today? Well, you see, the Cambrian animals are actually kind of very strange type of animals. See, there are very few vertebrates in the Cambrian. It's just because they were so rare. You see, if we actually look at the Cambrian animals, basically, you actually have trilobites, you actually have animals like Anomalocaris, you actually have some strange looking spike-like animals that are kind of related to the kind of like almost like sea worms and all that sorts of stuff. But even though it's hard to tell from that, because it's kind of actually hard to actually figure that out. You see, do we have animals like that today? Not really. You see, those types of animals, most of those animals are just called arthropods. Basically, arthropods were actually the more common sea creatures in the Cambrian. So basically, arthropods kind of dominated the seas at that time. So basically, invertebrates were actually the dominant life forms, and how they were alien-like, we don't know for sure. I mean, that's a mystery all to itself. Is basically how were they actually like that? And basically, it might be just because of basically like those spike-like things that are actually the spike-like sea worms that have like these spikes all over them. They probably might be for defense and probably for walking limbs and all that sorts of stuff. Trilobites, they have armor. Anomalocaris has armor. So basically, you actually have all sorts of things. You know, it's probably more for adaptability than anything else. So that would actually be my guess. All right, John from South Sioux City, Nebraska, who asks, in regards to the pygmy or dwarf elephants of the Mediterranean, did they structure their herds in girls-only clubs like modern elephants, or could they have been patriarchal harems like some cattle herds? Where basically patriarchal harems are basically like you actually have a dominant bull, and basically you have basically all females, that kind of thing. When I looked at the pygmy elephants, basically of the Mediterranean, and also there's like pygmy elephants like in the island that is found near an island in California, and all those sorts of places. Basically, I probably think. Because see, there hasn't been enough study about this, but even though I think probably, considering that they're kind of closely related to elephants, I would actually say that they're probably towards being elephant-like in a way. Because you see, I think they probably just had girls-only type of basically herds. And then the males are actually kind of off their own. But even though males probably did actually coexisted with some of the females from time to time. If we look at some elephants, basically like African elephants, sometimes that males would actually join a female herd just for the company, basically. But even though they would not actually be part of the herd, they would actually just basically they just want to stay close and all that sorts of stuff. But even though if they're large enough, they would actually be on their own a lot more. And so pretty much I think that's how it went. I think it's probably mostly most females only type of herds, and then the males are off on their own. But even though they could actually have the petrichal harems, kind of like what a lot of cattle actually have. But even though that's still up in the air, there's still a lot of study to actually try to actually find evidence for that. All right, Brendan from Morris, New York. He actually got 2 questions for me, and I'll get this first one right here. Is it possible tyrannosaurs might be found in Germany, Romania, Italy, Japan, South Korea, India, and Thailand? Well, if we actually look at some of those places, they're actually a bit north of the equator. So basically, yeah, I would say there's a possibility that they could actually be found in some of those areas. Japan, Japan does actually have fossils of tyrannosaur teeth, but even though we don't know if basically like what kind of species it is. It wasn't really Tarbosaurus, it wasn't Zooxantheranus, so basically it had to be like some sort of different tyrannosaur. In terms of like the European countries like Germany, Romania, and Italy, we need to find rock formations that actually will actually find tyrannosaurs, basically. Pretty much mostly the Cretaceous type of eras, basically like middle and late Cretaceous. Do we have tyrannosaurs that actually were living in those types of areas? But even at that time, Europe is a bunch of islands, and so that would actually be a really big problem for certain tyrannosaurs, because they probably couldn't actually get that big down there, big up there. So basically, it probably didn't actually work out for them to be in Europe. As for South Korea, it could be possible, and also for Thailand, it's very, very possible. But even though we still need to find rock formations that actually have the age necessary to find tyrannosaurs. And Brendan's next question is: Labocania a tyrannosauroid or tyrannosaurid? I've looked at this, and basically, what is actually... You see, this dinosaur is actually found in Baja California, and basically there's been a lot of debate of basically where it fits in the tyrannosaur family tree. Is it a tyrannosauroid, which is basically a primitive tyrannosaur, or basically is it part of the tyrannosaurid family, where basically it's like you find the large tyrannosaurs, basically, you know, like Tyrannosaurus rex, Tarbosaurus, Albertosaurus, and Daspletosaurus. You know, do they fit in those types of tyrannosaurs? Well, basically, from looking at what the artist impressions are, I would say it's a tyrannosauroid. So basically, it's a primitive tyrannosaur that probably actually would have been a primitive tyrannosaur, because from what it looks like, it has the 3-fingered hands, kind of like Eutyrannus does, and Guanlong, Dilong, you know, all those sorts of tyrannosaurs that actually have an extra finger in their hands compared to like the later tyrannosaurs. And the skull is actually kind of built very differently than the more common tyrannosaurs. It doesn't actually have the expansion on the back of the skull. It's kind of actually more common types of theropod dinosaurs, where basically it's kind of a very sleek type of skull. But even though Eutyrannus kind of actually has some features that suggest that the expansion of the back of the skull is starting to happen. But even though I would say it's a tyrannosauroid compared to like the tyrannosaurids. The tyrannosaurids are actually basically a little bit more advanced tyrannosaurs, where basically they actually have better vision, better smell, and better hearing, and also they adapt to climate a lot better than the tyrannosauroid, where basically they adapt to a certain environment, but even though they wouldn't adapt to like bigger changes in the environment. So basically that would actually be the case here. But even though Labocania is actually basically found in rocks that are basically dating back close to 80 million years, so basically it would actually have but basically this is a southern North American dinosaur, so basically it probably was adapted to basically warmer climate, so probably would actually just be sticking around that area, where basically it actually would hunt down prey that actually lived into like a subtropical type of environment. So pretty much I think that's what they were actually living in, is like a tropical to subtropical type of environment, where basically you actually have numerous animals that actually are living down there. They probably did hunt hadrosaurs, they probably did hunt primitive ceratopsians, but even though the size of this animal is still unknown, it's unclear basically like how big this animal really got. And so I would actually say it's a tyrannosauroid, primitive tyrannosaur. Alright, that's it for now. Now next week would actually be in a special episode, but this one I'm actually going to do it a little bit early, because I won't be actually, because I'll probably do this on Thursday, so the coming Thursday. So basically, if you got a dinosaur or any other prehistoric animal you want me to talk about, feel free to email it to me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or otherwise look on the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris, and you can actually look at all the links that I have of list of dinosaur names, prehistoric mammal names, and sea monsters, and all that sorts of stuff. But mainly vertebrates. I like to talk about vertebrates a lot more. But you can still send me questions about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or let's go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comments section on any Facebook post. But remember, keep your questions short and to the point. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. I post political stuff on there. And also, take care of the people around you. And also, for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education. So with a good education, you get a good job in the future. And probably within like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I'll actually do an extra episode, and this will be a review of a brand new book that actually came out, and it's called the Tyrannosaur Chronicles. I'm actually going to read this book probably maybe like throughout like a week or maybe 2, because it's going to be a lot of reading for me, and I think it's going to be pretty cool to see like how I'd actually review this book. And I won't give too much away of this book. It's basically just a scientific book. It's a scientific book, not really like a novel or a fiction type of book. It's basically just like a scientific research type of book. And it's actually, and hopefully it will actually be as good as like a lot of people I've heard it say it really is. Alright, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys the coming Thursday.